How do we distinguish truth from fiction in a world saturated with propaganda? Can technology ever truly be neutral, or is it always shaping us? What role does satire play in dystopian storytelling? Those questions and more will be explored in this episode, a conversational deep dive into Chapter 6 of the novel, From Trumerica with Love by Logan Emery Emerson. From Trumerica with Love is a modern retelling of George Orwell's 1984 as reimagined in a current-day version of America ruled by leader for life, Donald Trump. Here is Sharna and Damien's conversation.
All right, everyone, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a world that's equal parts unsettling and way too close to home.
Oh, you can say that again.
We're talking Chapter 6 of From Trumerica with Love by Logan Emery Emerson.
You know, I've been looking forward to digging into this one.
Me too. It's a satirical dystopian novel that riffs on Orwell's 1984, but with, let's just say, a very distinct American flavor.
Definitely not your feel-good beach read.
Not unless your idea of a beach read involves mandatory exercise routines broadcast by the government.
Okay, so we're jumping right into it then.
Might as well. So we're introduced to Liam, our protagonist, and his morning is basically a nightmare if you hate overly chipper fitness gurus.
I'm already cringing.
Imagine being forced to work out in your living room in front of a giant screen with an instructor who's a little too enthusiastic about something called Patriot Power Lunches.
And I bet skipping a rep isn't an option.
Nope. It's like your Peloton suddenly got hooked up to the NSA. Emerson uses this whole setup to poke fun at our obsession with technology.
And how much of our lives are already being tracked, analyzed, and optimized? It's like he's holding up a funhouse mirror to our digital lives.
Exactly. But then it gets even weirder because the book dives into the whole geopolitical landscape of this world.
Which is?
Let's just say, Trumerica isn't exactly a haven of peace and tranquility. They're locked in this perpetual state of war with these, well, kind of ridiculously named superstates.
Give me some examples.
Pan, Latin Europa. It's like Emerson took a map, threw darts at it, and then mashed up whatever countries they landed on.
Okay, so definitely playing with some satire there. But I'm guessing it's not all fun and games.
Not even close.
Okay.
What really got me was that Liam can't even remember if they've always been at war with these nations.
Like his memory is fuzzy.
Completely. And the official narrative from the government keeps changing too. One day, Pan is public enemy number one. The next, it's all about the Latin Ropan threat.
So it's not just Liam. The whole system is designed to keep people off balance, uncertain about who to trust or what to believe.
Exactly. It's a constant state of information overload, where the truth is basically whatever the powers that be want it to be today. It's like trying to put together a puzzle, but someone keeps swapping out the pieces.
And you're never quite sure what the final image is supposed to be.
Exactly. And that's where Emerson introduces this idea of great speak.
Ah, yes. Great speak. The novel's not so subtle nod to Orwell's Newspeak, right?
Right. But it's more than just controlling language. It's about controlling how people think. It's like their entire reality is being constantly rewritten.
And the scariest part is they don't even realize it's happening. It's insidious. Like, you know how we talk about algorithms curating our online experience?
Totally. It's like that scene in The Social Network where they're ranking girls by their looks.
Exactly. Except imagine that, but instead of just showing you things you want to see, it's actively reshaping your memories and beliefs to align with whatever agenda is being pushed.
Okay, now that is seriously messed up. So how does it actually work? Like, what's an example of great speak in action?
Well, Emerson gives us a bunch of examples, but one of the most chilling is how great speak redefines the word freedom.
As in, they just get rid of it altogether.
Not exactly. They replace it with thought crime.
So instead of striving for freedom, you're terrified of even thinking about it.
Precisely. And that's just one example. Emerson plays with all sorts of words and phrases, twisting them just enough to make people question their own understanding of reality.
It's like that feeling when you can't remember if you dreamed something or if it actually happened, except on a societal scale.
And with much higher stakes. And if that's not disturbing enough, Emerson throws in this really powerful anecdote from Liam's childhood.
The one where men from his community just vanish.
That's the one. He remembers them being taken away, but the official story about who took them keeps changing.
First, it's the Corchinpanians. Then it's the Latin Europans. It's like they're just making it up as they go along.
And because Liam's memories are so fragmented, he can't even be sure what really happened. It highlights how vulnerable our memories are to manipulation, especially in a world saturated with information.
It's just like that one line that really got me, I think. The past has not merely been altered, it's been destroyed. It's just like gone.
Yeah, and that's what makes this book so unsettling, right? Because it's like, yeah, we get it. History's written by the victors and all that. But in Trumerica, it's like they've somehow managed to hit the delete key on any shred of evidence that contradicts the official narrative.
And it makes you wonder, like, how far are we from that now? I mean, think about how often we hear about historical figures being canceled or whatever.
Right, like we can just erase the parts of their past that we don't like anymore. But it's more than just that, isn't it? It's about controlling the narrative, shaping how future generations will understand these events.
And that's what's so terrifying about Liam's situation. I mean, he has these flashes of something different, these memories that don't quite line up with the official story. But how can you possibly challenge a system that controls every piece of information?
You're right, he's totally trapped. Emerson really nails that feeling of helplessness, that sense that you're constantly being gaslighted, but you can't quite put your finger on how or why.
It's like that feeling when you walk into a room and forget what you were doing, except on a much grander scale.
Exactly. And it's not just happening to Liam, right? It's the entire society. And then Emerson takes this whole thing one step further by throwing in these real-life figures like Donald Trump and Mark Zuckerberg, but in this totally exaggerated dystopian context.
Yeah, like those deep fakes that make you question everything you see online.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, hey, remember these guys. Well, imagine a world where they have even more power and even fewer scruples.
Not exactly a comforting thought.
Yeah.
So if you had to boil it down, what's the big takeaway you hope listeners get from Trumerica with Love?
I think the most important thing is to remember that the truth matters. And it's something we have to constantly fight for, especially in an age of information overload and social media manipulation. Don't just accept everything you see and hear at face value.
Question everything.
Absolutely. Do your own research, challenge your own biases, and never be afraid to ask uncomfortable questions. Because the more we question, the less likely we are to sleepwalk into a Trumerica of our own.
Nicely put. A huge thank you to Logan Emery Emerson for giving us so much to think about in From Trumerica with Love. And to you, dear listener, we hope this deep dive has left you with plenty to ponder. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and remember, the truth is out there, but it's up to us to find it.
Logan Emery Emerson's dystopian novel, From Trumerica with Love, is available now from bookstores everywhere. Thanks for listening.